Good morning once again. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Para doon po sa mga may time, you can join us in our short Bible encounters. I promise to make this short today. Well, basically because I have a 9 o'clock appointment, no? And so I need to go. But nevertheless, welcome po sa inyong lahat. I hope you brought your Bible with you. If not, okay lang din po. There are many ways for you to have the scriptures or to develop or your love for the scriptures. Sa mga cellphone naman po natin, pwede na ho tayo magkaroon ng Bible eh. Di ba? May mga application na yon, kaya pwede naman po kayo na may Bible pa din. So, I think nowadays, we have no more excuse na, wala ho akong Bible, Father. Kasi tatanungin kita, may cellphone ka ba? Oh, ayun, may Bible ka na. Nandiyan yung Bible. Nandiyan yung Bible. And I would recommend, for example, you go to the USCCB website, yung pong, kasi nandun po yung New American Bible. So, pwede din po doon na tingnan ninyo yung, but if you have a Bible app, okay din po yun. So, are you ready for a short Bible encounter? And our topic for today is a very important segment in the genealogy of Jesus, which we call the exile. Kasi siguro nagtataka po kayo, for the past how many days, beginning Monday, I think, if not mistaken, beginning Monday this week, we heard about Ezra. So Ezra, ilang ulit, 3 beses, and then we went to Haggai, and then Zechariah, and then next week, Nehemiah. Then eventually, you go to Jonah later on. But let me focus on these books that we call post-exilic books, no? Or developing, focusing on the theme of the post-exile. But we have to go back first to the exile, which is in one way or another an exodus also for the chosen people. So if you want, we can start with Matthew chapter 1 in the genealogy of Jesus. Verse 17, you find there the following. So all the generations from Abraham to David were 14 generations, and from David to the deportation to Babylon, 14 generations, and from the deportation to Babylon to the Christ, 14 generations. So you see how important this is, yung deportation to Babylon. Dahil, ang mga Israelita na ipatapon sa ibang bayan twice. Kaya magandang maintindihan ito kasi maiintindihan din natin ang malaking bahagi ng Biblia. Pero bago yung exile, para natin maintindihan yan, let me backtrack a little, parang by way of review, and at the same time, we better understand the Old Testament and the narrative of the Old Testament. So, be patient with me kung medyo hindi natin maintindihan agad-agad, pero dadahan-dahanin natin. After this little exposition, you'll understand more or less the story of the Old Testament. So we have the first 5 books of the scriptures. Na ipaliwanag na po natin ito ng konti. The first 5 books are what? Genesis, Exodus, ano nga ulit? Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Ano makikita natin sa book of Genesis? Well, the account of creation. Makita natin doon si Adam and Eve, expulsion from paradise. We find there Noah and the great deluge. And we find there also the story of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and then the sons of Israel. At nagkaroon ng tagtuyo. And eventually, the book of Genesis. Ano ang ending ng book of Genesis? The death of Joseph. Are you with me? Yan. So, Abraham, Isaac, the patriarchs, Jacob, the sons of Jacob, then migration to Egypt dahil nagkaroon ng tagtuyo o nagkaroon ng famine sa kanilang bayan, and they were forced to go to Egypt where Joseph was waiting for them. So that's the end of Genesis, the death of Joseph. What's the next book? Exodus. And what is Exodus? The death of Joseph and the new Pharaoh that did not know Joseph. Hindi nakilala ng bagong Pharaoh, si Joseph. No? During the time of Joseph, nakilala si Joseph ng mga Pharaoh, mga prince of Egypt. Walang problema yung mga Hebrews. Pero nung hindi na nila nakilala si Joseph, ibig sabihin nun, matagal na panahon na, kaya wala na silang utang na loob sa ginawa ni Joseph. Kaya they were threatened by the Hebrews, by the presence of the Hebrews in Egypt. Kaya ang ginawa ng Paraon ay pinahirapan yung mga Hebrews or the sons of Israel. Until, of course, Moses. Moses now is going to deliver his people from the slavery in Egypt. Again, we took this up before. Incidental lang naman, in one way or another, yung pagiging hero ni Moses. Nakapatay lang siya eh. Hindi lang yun, no? Nakapatay siya. So nung nakapatay siya, napilitan siyang tumakas sa Ehipto. And he went to Midian for how many years? I think 70 or 80 years. Tsaka lang siya nagbalik after almost 80 years. Balik siya para, sagutan na yung tawag ng Panginoon na palayain ng kanyang mga kababayan sa Ehipto. So, alright, okay. To make the long story short, in the book of Exodus, you find the Israelites being what? Being led to the wilderness, to the desert. So, the whole book of Exodus is about that. No? The freedom of the Israelites from the Egyptians, led by Moses. And they were led to the wilderness and found themselves where? At the foot of Mount Sinai. And in Mount Sinai, that's where the Lord revealed himself to Moses in the mountain, gave them the 10 Commandments, and the people also were unfaithful to God. Nagawa sila ng kanilang Diyos-Diyosan, na kaya nagalit si Moses, na binato rin sa kanila yung 10 Commandments. Yeah, so those things. But eventually, God was very faithful to the Israelites, to the Hebrews. Tinaga pa rin sila. Nagpagawa ulit ng bagong 10 Commandments. No? Ganon katyaga si Lord. No? Nabasag yung una, sige, gawa tayo ulit. No? And the covenant with His people, talagang hindi tinigilan ng Panginoon ang kanyang mga minamahal na bayan. And the tabernacle was built. So that's where Exodus ended. Exodus ended with the building of the tabernacle tent. Kasi wala pa silang temple but they had a tabernacle. They were in Sinai. Next book is what? Leviticus. So Leviticus is all about what? The feasts and festivals connected with what? The tabernacle. At doon na nabuo yung kanilang worship, yung kanilang liturgy, yung kanilang mga pagdiriwang. What's the next book? After Leviticus, you have Numbers. The book of Numbers naman, doon makikita yung dalawang census. Yung first generation na naandun sa Sinai, and then the second generation na papasok sa Promised Land. Practically, they were 40 years in the wilderness. The first generation died out because of their stubbornness. The second generation was able to enter the Promised Land, and led by whom? Not by Moses. So the book of Numbers ended with the death of Moses, and now a new leader emerges. And who was that? Joshua. Yeah. So Joshua now leads his people to the Promised Land. At nakita naman natin din yung tunggalian nila sa Promised Land. Because the Promised Land was not a land that was free. It was inhabited by many other tribes. So let's simplify this. Genesis, creation to Joseph, death of Joseph. Exodus, new Pharaoh that did not know Joseph, and now Moses liberates his people. And they are now in the wilderness, found themselves in Sinai. They built the tabernacle. That's how Exodus ended. And then the next book, the book of Leviticus, all the festivals and feasts connected with the tabernacle. And then the book of Numbers connected with the census of the first generation and the second generation that is now ready to take over the Promised Land. And then Deuteronomy, of course, Deuteronomy is the last words of Moses. The sermons of Moses. Yung kanyang mga habilin sa kanyang mga kababayan bago sila pumasok ng lupang pangako. Yan. So naintindihan po yung kwento na yon. Yan. Ulitin ko para, I'm sorry if I repeat myself, pero para maintindihan. Genesis, Abraham to Joseph. Exodus, Moses leading his people out of Egypt and found themselves in Mount Sinai and in the wilderness. Leviticus, all about the tabernacle rules and feasts. Numbers, all about the people, two generations of people, first that died out and second that entered the promised land. And then Deuteronomy, the last words of Moses to his people before he died. And then Joshua. Joshua enters the promised land, and when they were able to conquer the promised land, here comes the judges. The judges were strong leaders, like, sino yung mga example ng judges? Yan, si Samson, si Gideon, and the like. And they were leading their people. They were strong men and women who were leading their people. But the people said, the chosen people were already in the promised land. They were already inhabiting Canaan, but they wanted the king. Ang sabi ng mga Israelita, hindi katulad ng mga neighbors natin, wala tayong king. Kailangan meron tayong hari. So they clamored for a king. That's why you have First 2 Samuel, First 2 Kings, First 2 Chronicles. Sinasabi naman doon ang mga hari ng Israel. Beginning with Saul, to David, to Solomon, and the lesser-known kings. So, nung nandun na sila sa lupang pangako, ano nangyari? Nung namatay na sina David at Solomon and the next kings who were most of them were corrupt kings. So, what happened to the tribes of Israel? Na pinaghati-hatian nila yung promised land, nagkawatak-watak sila, nag-away-away sila. Yan. Here comes the exciting part. They were in the promised land, divided according to the 12 tribes. They were fighting each other. They had kings, but their kings were corrupt. They were co-opted by others. You remember this king Ahaz, who was corrupted by Jezebel, no? Na si Elijah naman ng kanyang katapat. Yeah. So ito yung nangyari sa Book of Samuel, the Book of Kings, and the Book of Chronicles. So kalahati na tayo, more than half na tayo ng Old Testament. So in the division of the tribes, there were 10 tribes in the north and 2 tribes in the south. The tribe of Judah and Benjamin was in the south, capital Jerusalem, and the 10 tribes, the remaining 10 tribes, they were in the north, capital, some sort of capital is Samaria. Yan, kaya nagkahati-hati sila. Nung nagkahati-hati ang mga tribo ng Israel, pumasok ang isang superpower, the Assyrians. The Assyrians conquered the northern tribes. And they were exiled to Assyria. The Assyrians conquered the northern lands, and they were exiled. The first exile of the chosen people. They intermarried with the Assyrians. So ito yung background ng Samaria, kung bakit magkaaway ang Israel at Samaria. Kasi ang Israel basically is Judah and Benjamin, and Samaria is in the north. Kaya isang lahi sila. Pero dahil nga na-displace yung northern tribes and they intermarried with the heathens, with the Assyrians, so nagalit ngayon yung mga southern tribes. Hindi akalain ng southern tribes na papasok na naman ang isa pang superpower, the Babylonians, and conquer them and exile them. Ito yung sinasabi nating exile. The exile happened when the Babylonians conquered Judah, the south. For almost 70 years, they were expelled from their homeland. At sino yung tinatarget ng mga conquerors? Usually yung mga leaders. Naiiwan ang mga tinatawag na remnants, yung mga naiiwan sa lupain, ay yung mga walang sinasabi sa lipunan. At yung mga leaders and elites, they were exiled to Babylon, to other places. And there were only the remnants that remained in Jerusalem, but they were just common folks, common people. And when they were in exile, they lost the temple. When the Babylonians came, they destroyed the temple in 586 BC. And when the temple was destroyed and the people were exiled, nawala na yung sa mapa, yung mga Israelita. Dito natin makikita kung gaano kahalaga itong mga aklat after exile. Yung mga Babylonians, they are from somewhere in Iraq, no? And they were taken over by the Persians. So, tinalo ng mga Babylonians ang mga Israelita, pinalaya sa mga Israelita sa kanilang lupain, pero yung mga Babylonians, tinalo naman ng bagong superpower ang mga Persians, led by Cyrus the Great. At nung dumating si Cyrus the Great, so wala nang Israel nun, wala nang temple, wala nang chosen people. Kalat-kalat na sila. Kasi nga, they have been conquered by other superpowers, no? Left and right. Parang kwento rin ng Pilipinas, di ba? Kwento ng Pilipino na sinakop ng mga Kastila, dumating ang mga Hapon, dumating ang mga Amerikano, etc. We have been colonized several times. Ganon din po ang nangyari sa mga Israelita. Pumasok sila sa Promised Land, nagkawatak-watak sila, sinakop sila ng mga ibang superpowers, Assyrians, Babylonians. Later on, di pa natatapos yung kanilang ordeal. Bakit? After going back to the Promised Land from the exile, papasok na naman ng mga Greeks, papasok ang mga Romans. So hindi sila tinigilan ng mga conquest and colonizers. But we focus on the post-exilic figures of Ezra and Nehemiah. When Cyrus the Great, the Persian king, took over, tinalo niya ang mga Babylonians, sina Nebuchadnezzar. Nung tinalo niya ang mga Babylonians, may bagong strategy yung hari ng Persia. Ang sabi ni Cyrus, kaya nagpapasalamat ang mga Israelita sa Persian king na ito, ang sabi ni Cyrus, balik na kayo sa lupain ninyo. Some sort of a benevolent monarch. Hindi nila alam yung strategy ni Cyrus, pabalikin sila sa mga lupain nila. Kasi ang lalakas nila kumain sa Persia. Umuwi na nga kayo. Lakas na kumain dito. Ayan. So, ang strategy ng bagong hari, umuwi na kayo doon. Balik na kayo. I will still be your king, but you can go back to your land. O di mas may utang na loob pa ngayon ng mga Israelita sa kanya, so they will not rebel. Kasi nahihirapan yung mga monarchs, mga superpowers. Kasi from time to time, mayroong mga rebellion. So para matigil na yung mga rebellion na yan, pinauwi niya yung mga Israelita para sabi ni Cyrus the Great sa kanila, tayo niyo ulit ang temple ninyo. Worship again. And here's a very good strategy of Cyrus. Ang sabi ni Cyrus, go back to your gods. Worship your gods. Sabihin niyo sa Diyos ninyo na tulungan tayo, tulungan ang hari. So you pray for me as your king. Galing ni Cyrus, no? So go back to your temple, build it up, and then go back to worshiping your God and pray for your king. Yeah. So, nandito na ngayon yung figure ni Ezra and Nehemiah. Naintindihan na po yung kwento, yung mahabang kwento from Abraham to to Cyrus the Great. Marami hong nangyari in between, pero ginagawa lang nating shortcut. So now we have Ezra and Nehemiah. So introduction pa lang po yun, kaya punta na po tayo sa sa atin pong talagang topic for today. Ezra and Nehemiah. Si Ezra po, part of the exile, napatapon sa Babylonia, and because of Cyrus, and then eventually the other kings, Darius and Artaxerxes, yung mga bagong hari, they were benevolent. They were benevolent to the chosen people. So si Ezra was from the priestly clan. At ang sabi ni Ezra, nung pinabalik na sila ng hari sa lupang pangako, sa Israel, sa Canaan, ang sabi ni Ezra, nagtulungan sila ni Nehemiah. Si Ezra pare, si Nehemiah governor. Ito na yung tandem ng isang religious leader at isang civil monarch or civil leader. Kaya ang ganda maganda sana pag halimbawa, si Nehemiah, siya yung governor, para siyang mayor. Si Ezra, siya yung pare. So a religious leader and a civil leader. At nagtandem sila. Nung sinabi na ng hari na pwede na kayong bumalik, so ang decision nila, let us have 3 objectives. Meron 3 objective si Ezra at Nehemiah. Ang sabi nila, let's go back. Pero si Ezra, dahil pari siya, he wanted to establish the temple again. He wanted to rebuild the temple. Sabi ni Nehemiah sa kanya, tulong tayo. Tulong-tulungan natin na buuin ng templo. Rebuild the temple. Why was the temple very important for the Jews? Because the temple was the center of their worship. It was the center of their community. It was the center of their lives. Without the temple, they could not move. They were paralyzed. Because for the Jews, for the children of Israel, worship was the first and foremost. The first thing that they need to build. Even before building their country or rebuilding their lives, they wanted to build the temple. So Ezra had that in mind. Nung narinig niya na pwede nang bumalik, ang sabi niya sa kanyang mga kababayan, buuin natin ng templo agad-agad. Tulong-tulong na tayo. And dahil pari siya, Ezra was, was steeped in the knowledge of the scriptures. So ang sabi niya, turuan ko kayo ulit ng Torah. Dahil pari siya at skriba at the same time, maalam sa salita ng Diyos, he became some sort of a new Moses. A new Moses to his people na pinabalik sila sa pag-iisip na bayan tayo ng Diyos. Kailangan nating sumunod sa kalooban ng Diyos, sa batas ng Panginoon. Let's study again the scriptures. And that's what Ezra did. He led his people to go back to God, studying the Torah again, the law of Moses, and also, side by side, building the temple. And si Ezra, dahil pari siya, ito, medyo lang dito siya hindi nagustuhan ng kanyang mga kababayan. Dahil ang ginawa ni Ezra, sabi niya sa kanyang mga kababayan, kayong mga nakapag-asawa na mga ibang lahi, hiwalayan niyo lahat yan. He wanted to go back to the former pure state of the chosen people. Dahil nga na-exile, nakapangasawa na ng iba't ibang lahi, ang sabi ni Ezra, I am giving you a command. I'm giving you a directive. Hiwalayan niyo sila. Pag nakapag-asawa kayo ng Babylonian, hiwalayan niyo yan. Iwanan niyo yung mga yan. Bumalik kayo sa lupa natin. So, medyo doon nagkaroon ng reaction yung mga tao, pero eventually they obeyed Ezra. And that was also a painful experience for the chosen people. They got to separate from their families because their families, with their foreign wives or husbands for that matter, they were impure. So they needed to purify their race again. Going back to Israel, they had to eliminate the impurity. Si Nehemiah naman, so Ezra was the priest, a religious leader, leading his people. 3 things. Restore the temple, teach and retool the Jews about the law of Moses, and separate them from their former lives. It's hard. No? The restoration project of Ezra was hard. Because for so many years, 70 years more or less, the people were living already as pagans. They did not have a temple. They did not have studying of the law. So practically, they forgot everything about their faith. They forgot about the Lord. And I think Ezra needed to do that, needed to be strict about the observance of the law, because he wanted his people to go back to their original state of being children of God, the chosen people of God. Now, Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king, Artaxerxes. At ang sabi niya sa hari, king, malapit siya sa hari. Siya yung cupbearer eh. Pagka-cupbearer ka ng hari, ibig sabihin nun, you are the most trusted. Kasi ang cupbearer, siya yung tumitikim muna doon sa iinumin ng hari. Pagka nilalason yung hari, ikaw ang mauunang lalasunin. No? So, Nehemiah had the ears of the king. At kasi nga, siya ang cupbearer. So, lagi siya nasa tabi ng hari. Sabi niya sa hari, pwede ba akong umuwi ng bayan ko? Tutulong ako sa pag-rebuild ng templo. And the governor said, yeah. The king said to him, go, and you govern them. You become my leader there. Yan, ginawa siyang leader ng hari. Together, side by side with Ezra, the religious leader, Nehemiah now was in charge of building the temple and protecting his people. Kasi nga, nung bumalik ang mga Israelita, nandun na rin yung mga inhabitants of Israel. Nandun na yung mga Canaanites. Nandun na yung mga remnants. At nandun na rin yung mga ibang lahi. So Ezra was some sort of a warrior governor. He was building the temple for God Nehemiah was a warrior governor. In one hand, he's building the temple. On the other hand, he's fighting the enemies. Sabi ngayon ng mga settlers of Israel na naabutan nila nung nagbalik-bayan sila, tulungan namin kayo. Ito yung mga Samaritans. Kaya nga yung mga Samaritans, ito yung original story. Ang awayan ng mga Israelita, ng mga Hudyo, at ng mga Samaritano, dito nagsimula. Kasi yung mga Samaritano, they are inhabitants of the north. Eh nagbabalik ngayon yung mga Hudyo sa south, sa Judah. Sabi ng mga taga-north, sabi ng mga Samaritano, tulungan namin kayo. Sabi ng mga Israelita, ayaw namin. Kayo ay nakipag-cooperate sa mga kaaway. Hindi namin kayo gusto. So yun, lagi silang nag-aaway. In the project of the restoration of the temple, which happened basically, eventually, the temple was rebuilt in 515 BC. So don't be bothered by the dates. So in 515 BC, the temple was finally rebuilt by Ezra and Nehemiah. And Haggai, Zechariah, Joel, Obadiah, these are the prophets during this time. They were rallying the people to, let's go, build the temple again for God. Kaya nga ang first reading natin kanina, yung sinusukat, yung Jerusalem, kasi ngayon gusto ng Panginoon na ayusin na ulit. Make a reset of Jerusalem. Make a reset of His people. So nakita po ninyo yung pattern. Sisirain ng tao ang plano ng Diyos, buo-buoin ng Diyos ang sinira ng tao. From paradise, sinira ni Adan at Eva, bubuuin ng Diyos. Kasalanan ng Sodom at Gomorrah, bubuuin ng Diyos. Pakatapos ng pagbaha, bubuuin ng Diyos. Pakatapos ng pagkakawatak-watak ng mga tao, bubuuin ng Diyos. Ililigtas ng Diyos. That's the pattern of the Old Testament. People unfaithful, God always faithful. And in these exilic times, through Ezra and Nehemiah, God showed how His fidelity to His people again, na hindi niya kinalimutan ang kanyang bayan. So, we find in Ezra and Nehemiah great leaders of their people to eventually reconstruct their lives. So ano po yung hamon sa atin ng, ayan, sabi ko 15 minutes lang, ayan, naka 30 minutes lang tayo. Yeah, pero ano po ang hamon ni Ezra and Nehemiah po sa atin? Tatlong bagay po ang hamon ni Ezra at Nehemiah. Una, there is an end to an exile. There is an end to exile. If we find ourselves in exile, no matter how long it is, there is always an end to our exile. Nagtatapos din yan, no? Yung feeling of exile, the pandemic was an experience of exile. We were exiled from our ordinary, comfortable lives to a life of social distancing, of isolation. So in one way or another, we were exiled because of the pandemic. But now, we are back. May mga taong napapatapon, pero naibabalik din naman. Sa politika natin ngayon, di ba? May naipaitapon, tapos balik na. Huwag na tayong pumunta doon. Pero ganun talaga eh. For every exile, there is a coming home. Yan. Kaya pwede ba sabihin mo sa sarili mo, there is an end to my exile. There's an end to it. Magtatapos din yan. Magtatapos din yan. Pangalawa, the project of restoration is not going to be easy. Yes, there is an end to exile, but the project of restoration of your life isn't going to be easy. Ang dami nang nasira eh. Saan ka ba magsisimula? Sa mga bagay na nasira. So, nung tiningnan ni Ezra at Nehemiah yung temple, wala na natira. At tinignan niya yung mga kababayan niya, sabi ni Ezra, tinignan niya yung mga kababayan niya, wala nang alam sa Biblia. Di nang kilala ang Diyos eh. So sabi ni Ezra, how do we begin to rebuild our lives? How do we begin to rebuild our society? How do we begin to rebuild our worship in the temple? Saan tayo magsisimula? Sabi na naman ni Nehemiah was a more proactive worker. Sabi ni Nehemiah, di magsimula tayo sa unang bato. Problema ba yun? You look at the problem as so enormous and gigantic, pero sabi ni Nehemiah, then let's start with the first stone. That's why Nehemiah, what did he build? Ang contribution ni Nehemiah was not exactly the temple. Ang contribution ni Nehemiah was the wall. Kailangan niya munang lagyan ng wall. Kasi para hindi sila laging inaatake ng kanilang mga kaaway. So he had to build and rebuild the wall of Jerusalem so that they could be safe inside. So magandang magandang message yun sa atin ni Nehemiah. You want to rebuild your lives? Then start with the wall. Huwag ka muna doon sa bubong. Doon ka muna sa wall. Anong ibig sabihin ng wall? The wall is some sort of protect yourself and preserve yourself. Starts with you. Have to protect yourself. You have to preserve yourself. Hindi pwede na, paano ka makakatulong kung ikaw mismo gulagulanit din ang buhay mo? No? Paano ka makakatulong sa iba kung ikaw mismo hindi ka makabangon sa sarili mo? You have to start with yourself. Yan ang sinasabi ni Nehemiah. We want to rebuild the temple. Let's start with the first stone. And the first stone always is the self. Let's start with ourselves. Kung gusto natin na baguhin yung paligid natin, magsimula tayo sa sarili natin. Kung gusto natin baguhin ang bansa natin, magsimula tayo sa sarili natin. Yan, di ba? Napaka-practical ng lesson ni Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the governor. I think kung governor siya ng Pilipinas siguro, maayos ang tayo ngayon. No? Pero yan, that's the second lesson. The project of restoration is not easy. There is an end to exile, but restoration is difficult. And third, and it's a never-ending restoration. Akala ni Nehemiah at Ezra tapos na, no? Hindi. Kasi after the Babylonians, meron na namang threat from the outside. Sino naman ang threat? Mga Greeks. They were just knocking at the wall. They were just, they were just circling around, and they would soon attack and eventually take over. The Greeks, and after the Greeks, the Romans, and down the line, walang tigil. So, ibig sabihin po nun, mga kapatid, walang tigil. Hindi tayo tumitigil sa project of restoration. The project of rebuilding our family is a never-ending project. We cannot rest. There is no time for rest. Well, there is a Shabbat, but there is no time for rest in the sense that there's always a challenge. Hindi na uubos. Hindi na uubos sa mga Canaanites. Hindi na uubos sa mga kalaban, the Greeks and the Babylonians and the Romans. Ganun din sa buhay natin. We cannot be satisfied. And we cannot give up. The struggle has to continue. Yes, kapag napapagod, magpahinga. Pero kinabukasan, tayo ulit, lalaban ulit. Ganun ang buhay ni Nehemiah. And Ezra for that matter also. Magtatayo sila ng templo ngayon, lalabanan niya mamaya yung kaaway niya sa hapon. Ang hirap ng ganun, di ba? Parang itatayo mo ang bahay mo, tapos i-defend mo sa kaaway ang pamilya mo. Too many battlefronts, too many wars to wage. Kaya napapagod tayo. Kasi maraming battlefronts ang buhay natin. Kagaya ni Nehemiah and Ezra, meron na silang project na magbuo ng templo, meron pa silang mga kaaway na kailangan nilang talunin. Sa buhay nating mga tao, halos ganun din. Meron tayong gustong gawin, pero meron din tayong kailangang awayin. O, wag naman laging mang away, no? Pero ganun talaga eh. Meron kang may gustong buuin, pero may kailangan ka ding sirain. Sirain not in a negative sense of it, but na kailangan mo ding talikuran. Something you build up and something you give up. That's the project ni Nehemiah. Kaya kung meron akong idol in terms of management, kung meron pong magandang model for a leader in a community or whatever group that you are in, Nehemiah is a good model. Nehemiah was also like Jerome. Si Nehemiah din mainitin lang ulo. Ewan ko ba? Bakit lahat ng mga characters sa Bible mainitin ng ulo? No? Pero si Nehemiah may problema din siya sa temper niya. Lagi din siyang mainit ang ulo. Pero in spite of that, God would always use flawed human beings in order to lead His people. Ang maganda kay Nehemiah at kay Ezra, they were stubborn. No, katulad ng ibang mga leaders, they were stubborn in following the plan of God. Hindi sila talaga sumusuko. So, 3 things we can learn from Ezra and Nehemiah. Ezra and Nehemiah they would teach us that exiles would end. Restoration project is difficult. And we should never give up. Because the struggle continues. We should always continue to hold in one hand the Word of God and in another our defense against the enemy. Lagi tayong may tunggalian sa kaaway. Hindi kaaway para saktan sila, kung hindi kaaway hindi sa mga bagay na sisira ng mga binubuo natin. So we always have to carry in our hand a defense of what we are building up. So, mga kapatid, yan, we learn from Ezra and Nehemiah, and let us all move from exile to restoration of our lives. Pwede po ba yun, no, sa inyong buhay? Tapos na ang exile. Umalis ka na dyan. Tapos na ang pandemic. Well, hindi pa tapos, pero umalis ka na dyan. Pinalaya ka na eh. Pinapabalik ka na ng Panginoon eh. No, sabi, ginamit niya na si Cyrus, at si Darius, at si Artaxerxes, at ginamit niya na yung mga taong ito para sabihin sa iyo na, balik ka na. Balik ka na sa dating mong buhay. Hindi naman siguro sa dati dahil baka mamaya masamang buhay yung dati mo, no? Pero ang sinasabi niya, bumangon ka na dyan. You're back from exile. You're not exiled anymore. You're back home. And because you are home, begin the project of restoring your life, your family. But, a little caveat to it. It's never to be easy. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to end soon or later. It will not end. The struggle will always be there. But you don't give up. Because you have in your hand the weapon that comes from the Lord, and a defense of your life, of your family. Amen? So tapos ng exile, ha? You are now back home. And let's continue the project of restoration of our lives and our families. So maraming salamat po sa inyo. Kala ko maiksi lang, pero ayan, mahaba na naman. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig. God bless you all.